Watch until the very end. What happens next is shocking and changes everything. My name is Claire Mitchell. I am 30 years old, and I make a living predicting worst-case scenarios for a fintech company in Denver. But nothing in my career ever prepared me for the 10-second voicemail that blew up my family. It came in on a Tuesday afternoon, right between a risk report and a cold cup of coffee. I tapped play and heard my mother's voice, flat, controlled, businesslike, as if she were canceling a subscription, not cutting off her daughter. "You're out. Don't come back. We're moving on without you." No explanation, no emotion, just a verdict. For a moment, I stared at my phone, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Then the part of my brain that spends all day protecting other people's money quietly switched on. I didn't call back. I didn't argue. I typed one simple text. "Okay." And then I moved first. I logged into the family LLC I had built from the ground up, the one holding our rental properties and the new triplex we were about to close on, and locked down every permission tied to my name. No more deals signed with my credit, no more transfers without my approval. Next, I called the real estate agent and pulled myself out of the house deal they were counting on. Deal canceled. Finally, I froze the retirement account structure I had set up for them, ensuring nothing could be changed or quietly drained behind my back. By the time my coffee was finished, every easy road they thought they had through me was closed. I assumed that would be the end of it. Instead, by the next morning, my phone showed 46 missed calls and a voicemail from their lawyer saying, "We have a serious problem." I actually laughed when I heard it, because they had no idea the problem wasn't me leaving, it was what I took with me. Stay with me until the end, and you'll see how one cold voicemail turned into a family revenge story, where the person they tried to erase ended up holding every last card. The next morning, I woke to my phone buzzing itself toward the edge of my nightstand. For a second, I thought it was my alarm. Then I saw the screen. 46 missed calls. Mom, Dad, unknown numbers, one from a law office I recognized. The most recent notification was a voicemail from their lawyer. I put in my earbuds and hit play while starting the coffee machine. "Claire, this is Evan Coleman, counsel for Mark and Diane Mitchell. We need to talk. This is serious. Please call me back as soon as possible." His voice was tight, the kind lawyers get when they realize their clients left out critical details. I let the message end and stared at the wall, listening to the coffee drip. My phone lit up again as new texts came in. From Mom. "Claire, this is just a misunderstanding. Call me, we need to talk." From Dad. "Kiddo, whatever happened, we can fix this. Please call us back." From Mom again. "We didn't mean it like that. We were upset. Come home so we can explain." Funny, because yesterday there had been no confusion in her voice at all. "You're out. Don't come back. We're moving on without you." That sounded perfectly clear to me. I scrolled, half expecting to see Brooke's name in the flood of notifications. Nothing. Not a single text or missed call from my little sister, the same sister who normally flooded the family group chat over the smallest thing. For someone who thrived on attention, she was suddenly very quiet. While the coffee finished brewing, I opened the building's security app and pulled up the camera feed for the front entrance, almost without thinking. The screen showed footage from earlier that morning. My dad stood outside the glass doors of my apartment building, hands buried in his jacket pockets, staring up toward the second floor where my unit was. He checked his phone, hesitated like he might buzz the intercom, then turned around and walked away. No call, no knock, just retreat. My chest tightened for a moment, but I pushed the feeling down. When people show you how easily they can cut you off, you don't rush to comfort them when the blade swings back their way. On the way to work, my phone kept vibrating in my bag. I ignored it. At my desk, I finally sent 3 short replies. To Mom, "I'm safe. I need time." To Dad, "I heard the voicemail." To the lawyer, "I received your message. I will respond in writing." I owed no one more than that. Just before lunch, my coworker Jenna rolled her chair over, lowering her voice. "You've been staring at that screen like you're about to blow it up. Everything okay at home?" I almost said yes out of habit, then stopped myself. Not really.
My parents decided I'm out of the family business. Her eyebrows shot up. Do they realize you are the family business? I shrugged. They left a voicemail. I locked things down. Now there are lawyers involved. Jenna let out a slow whistle. I'm not telling you what to do, but once money's involved, everyone starts performing. If you move out of guilt, they'll twist it into an admission of fault. Make sure every decision you make is one you'd be comfortable explaining to a judge. I nodded. That part I understood better than anyone. Risk management was my job. I had spent years building systems so people couldn't quietly move money behind each other's backs. And now I was realizing I'd built the perfect system to keep my own family from doing the same to me. As I walked to the break room for more coffee, my phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. Heard you pulled out of the triplex because you're overwhelmed. Are you okay? A cousin on my dad's side. Overwhelmed wasn't my word. It sounded like something Brooke would say. Eyes glossy, voice trembling just enough to sell it. The pieces began to line up. Her sudden job loss, the way she'd started tossing around phrases like streamline the LLC and free up equity at Sunday dinners, as if she'd ever cared about spreadsheets before. And the fact that she was the only one completely silent now, like a puppeteer who had already pulled the strings and stepped back to watch the outcome. I stared at my phone as a clean, cold edge of anger settled into place. If Brooke was behind this, if she thought she could push me out of what I built and slide into my spot while our parents played along, then she had chosen the wrong sister to start a financial war with. 2 days later, I tried to pretend life was normal by doing something painfully ordinary. I went to the local coffee shop I always visited on Saturdays, the kind of place where the barista knows your order and the regulars talk about hiking trails and housing prices. I had just picked up my latte when I heard someone call my name. Claire, hey. I turned and saw Tom Reynolds, one of Dad's old friends from the garage he used to work at. He clapped me on the shoulder like nothing was wrong. Heard about the triplex, he said, lowering his voice as if he were sharing a secret. Tough stuff. I frowned. What about it? He winced. Just what your mom and Brooke were saying in the family group chat.
That you pulled out because work pressure got to you, that you were overwhelmed and it wasn't a good time for you mentally. He said mentally the way people do when they're afraid to say breakdown. My jaw tightened. Overwhelmed. There it was again. I forced a smile so tight it felt like it might crack. Yeah, well, you know how rumors travel, I said. Tom patted my arm, told me to take care of myself, and wandered off toward the sugar station. I walked out of the shop before my face betrayed what I was really feeling. Outside, in the cold Denver air, I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my messages. Not one call from Brooke, not one text. Yet somehow she felt comfortable telling extended family that I was too unstable to handle a house deal I had practically engineered. That wasn't just gossip, that was groundwork. Sitting in my car, I opened my contacts and tapped a name I hadn't used in months, Daniel Hayes, the financial advisor who had helped me set up the original structure for our family LLC before my parents, under Brooke's influence, switched to someone newer and flashier. Daniel picked up on the second ring. Claire, this is a surprise. Still keeping everyone out of trouble? Working on it, I replied. I have a question. Has anyone tried to change ownership percentages in Mitchell Holdings LLC recently? There was a pause, the kind where you can hear someone sit up straighter. I've seen some draft documents float by, he said carefully. Your mom mentioned a new advisor and asked a few hypotheticals. There were references to adding another family member as a managing member, but your signature line was blank. It looked messy, so I told her nothing could move without you. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. Another family member. Brooke, of course. Did any of it go through? I asked. No, he said. The paperwork was incomplete and, frankly, questionable. But Claire, if someone's trying to backdoor their way into control of your LLC, you need to get ahead of it. I thanked him, hung up, and stared at the dashboard for a long moment. I thought about the voicemail telling me I was out. I thought about Tom repeating the word overwhelmed.
I thought about my mom suddenly wanting a new advisor right after Brooke lost her job. This wasn't random. This was a plan, one with a shaky legal backbone and a thick layer of emotional manipulation on top. A new notification popped up while I sat there. From Brooke. Finally. "What do you think you're doing, Claire?" she wrote. "Pulling out of the house deal, freaking everyone out, locking down accounts? This is a mess, and you're making it worse." For a moment, my fingers hovered over the keyboard. I almost unleashed everything boiling in my head. Instead, I deleted the draft and opened my email. First, I wrote to the real estate agent. "Per our conversation, please consider this written confirmation that I have withdrawn from the Mitchell triplex purchase as a borrower and primary qualifier. Any further representation that I am participating in this transaction is inaccurate and unauthorized." I requested a formal cancellation notice be sent to my parents, copying their lawyer. Next, I opened a new message, this time addressed to Brooke, written in the same tone I used for risk escalations at work. "Brooke, this email serves as formal notice that any attempt to alter ownership, signature authority, or financial structure related to Mitchell Holdings LLC, its associated properties, or retirement accounts without my written consent is unauthorized and may constitute fraud. Do not sign my name. Do not imply my approval. Any such action will be documented and shared with legal counsel." No yelling, no name-calling. Just facts and consequences. I sent it, then turned my phone face down on the passenger seat. By the time I drove home, my call log showed 6 more attempts from Mom, 3 from Dad, and none from Brooke. At my apartment, I opened my laptop and created a new folder labeled Family Risk File. I dropped in screenshots of texts, the lawyer's voicemail, Daniel's notes, and the emails I'd sent. Every move, every lie, every attempt to paint me as unstable. Because if Brooke was building a story where I was the problem, the weak link to be cut out so she could step in, then I was going to build a better one backed by timestamps and evidence. As the files piled up on my screen, I couldn't help wondering how many families fall apart like this, because one person values the role of victim more than the truth they've been rehearsing their entire life. 3 days later, an unknown number flashed on my screen in the middle of a spreadsheet. I almost let it go to voicemail until I recognized the firm name. "This is Claire." "Hi, Claire, this is Jason Liu, your parents' new financial advisor," he said. "I need to review some discrepancies in the Mitchell retirement structure." That word made me sit up straight. He explained that while reviewing the LLC and retirement accounts, he'd seen draft forms adding Brooke as a co-trustee or managing member, with my name listed as approving the changes, but no actual signature from me. "To be clear, Jason, I haven't approved anything. I haven't signed a single document since I set it up." He sighed. "Your family seems to believe you stepped away and that these changes reflect your wishes." The word "overwhelmed" came up. "From a compliance standpoint, I needed your confirmation. Treat every request as unauthorized unless you see my live signature. If anyone claims otherwise, ask for written proof. You won't get any." After we hung up, my cousin Megan called. "Are you okay? Because the way Brooke's been talking, it sounds like you're falling apart." I asked what Brooke was saying. That you pulled out of the house deal because of anxiety, that you hoard control of the LLC, that you threatened to cut Mom and Dad off financially. "None of that is true," I said. Megan lowered her voice. "I didn't think so."
It doesn't match the Claire who paid for their roof. I just wanted you to know what's being said. "Thanks," I replied. "Screenshot if you want. Otherwise, don't feed her audience." We hung up. A second later, an email thread landed in my inbox. Subject: Mitchell Triplex Purchase Update. It was from our agent, Susan, with my parents, Brooke, and Evan, the lawyer, copied. Quoted beneath Susan's reply was Brooke's message. "Susan, as discussed, Claire has pulled out due to personal mental health struggles. We need to move forward without her. Please respect her limitations." She sounded so caring, it made my skin crawl. Susan's actual reply was crisp.
Thank you, Brooke. For liability reasons, I'll need written confirmation directly from Claire, and we'll pause the file for now. I started typing before the anger had time to fade. Hi, Susan, I wrote. Attached is my written withdrawal from 2 days ago, along with the pre-approval documents. I am not exiting due to mental health struggles. I am withdrawing because I no longer consent to my name, credit, or income being used under the current family circumstances. Any other description of my decision is inaccurate. Thank you for pausing the file. I signed my name, copied Evan and Jason, and attached everything that showed I had been the driver of this deal from day one. Susan replied quickly, this time to a much smaller group. Understood. I will disregard Brooke's prior message and will only act on instructions received directly from you. A quieter email followed from Evan. Received. We should discuss next steps. That night, I found an envelope taped to my apartment door, my mom's handwriting unmistakable. Inside, on lined paper, she had written, "We love you. We were emotional. Please call us so we can fix this before it goes too far. Love, Mom." For a moment, my chest ached. I could picture her sitting at the kitchen table while Brooke paced and cried, shaping the story. My phone buzzed again. Megan had sent a screenshot of Brooke's newest post. Sometimes the most dangerous person in a family is the one who controls all the money and punishes you when you don't obey. Healing means walking away from people who weaponize their power, even if they share your last name. The comments were full of hearts and encouragement. I placed my mom's note beside my laptop and opened the folder labeled Family Risk File. Emails, voicemails, advisor notes, screenshots, all arranged neatly, one after another. Up until now, I had been closing doors. As I watched the files stack up, I realized defense wasn't enough. If Brooke wanted to build a narrative where I was the villain, I needed something she couldn't twist, a clean, documented story that left her standing alone in the light. The next morning, while I was at my desk, a new text from my mom appeared. Just 5 minutes. No arguing, please. I stared at it. 5 minutes wouldn't undo a voicemail telling me not to come back, but it sounded more like her than anything she'd sent in weeks. Call me, I replied. She answered immediately. I heard the faint echo of speakerphone. Your dad's here too, she said. Hey, kiddo, Mark added. You asked for 5 minutes, I said. Mom exhaled. We messed up, Claire. Saying, you're out, don't come back, that was extreme. We shouldn't have said it like that. You did say exactly that, I replied. She went quiet, then tried again. Your sister told us things. She said you were planning to cut us out of the LLC, talking to lawyers about removing us from the retirement accounts, that you were tired of carrying us and wanted full control. She said you told her after dinner, in the car. That never happened, I said. Did you hear those words from me directly? Well, no, Mom admitted. Brooke said you talked in the car on the way home. I drove myself that night. I left alone. There was no car ride. Dad swore under his breath. Why would she make that up? Mom whispered, though she sounded like she already knew the answer. Because if I'm unstable and power-hungry, then sliding herself into documents looks like protecting you, not using you. Dad sighed. This is past family drama now. Evan called. Jason called you. Susan paused the house deal. I know. That's why we're done with whispers. We're going to sit down, all 4 of us, in the same room. No speakerphone, no vague posts. I'll bring documents, you bring everything Brooke told you. Then we see what survives. Do we have to involve lawyers? Mom asked. They're already involved. The question is whether they see Brooke's story first or the evidence. When? Dad asked. Tomorrow, 6, at the house, I said. If Brooke won't come, that's an answer too. The next evening, I walked into my parents' living room with a thick folder under my arm. Same beige couch, same framed school photos, completely different air. My parents sat together on the sofa. Brooke perched in an armchair, clutching a tissue like a prop. She wouldn't look at me. Thanks for coming, Dad said. I set the folder and my phone on the coffee table. Just so we're clear, nothing about this is off the record in my head. If anyone lies, I won't keep it here. Brooke scoffed. Wow, way to make this hostile. We're family. Then the truth shouldn't scare anyone. Mom twisted her hands. Brooke, honey, tell Claire what you told us. No, I said. Brooke can speak for herself. Go ahead. Brooke rolled her eyes. I just repeated what you said, that you were done carrying everything, that you were thinking about pulling your name off things, that you wanted full control of the LLC so you didn't have to consult them. And this was in the car after dinner? I asked. Yeah, you were upset. You probably don't even remember. I opened the folder, pulled out a printed statement, and slid it across the table. That night at Harbor Grill, right? Check the timestamps. Mom's eyes moved down the page. Brooke's rideshare receipt, 10:15, my gas station charge across town, 10:13. Different routes, different cars. I drove myself. You left alone. There was no car conversation. Maybe it was another night, Brooke said quickly. Before you say that, I replied, flipping to another page, here's the only other dinner we all had in the last 3 months. That night, you left early to meet friends. I stayed to pay. No private ride then either. Dad leaned back slowly. Brooke, he said quietly. She shrugged. Memory's weird. I was trying to help. I thought she was serious about needing a break. I laid out the rest. My withdrawal email, sent before Brooke's mental health narrative.
Susan's response confirming she'd ignore anything not coming from me. Jason's note about draft documents with my name referenced but never signed. Screenshots of Brooke's posts. Megan's messages. Page by page, the timeline stretched from the voicemail to this couch. Mom finally turned to Brooke. You told us you saw emails, she whispered. You said Claire told you she was done with us. Brooke straightened. So now you just believe her because she printed things? She's always liked control. She's twisting this to make me look crazy. Dad met her gaze. The truth doesn't fall apart when you hold it next to a receipt, he said. Yours did. Mom looked at me, and for the first time since that voicemail, something shifted. We always thought you could handle more, she said quietly. We saw Brooke as fragile, so we protected her and pushed responsibility onto you. And now I'm realizing the only person who lied to us is the one we told not to come back. Brooke opened her mouth, but Mom raised a hand. Not this time, she said softly. The word no settled between them, and something inside me finally slid back into place. They had tried to cut me out, using a script Brooke wrote. Now they were watching that script burn, page by page, and realizing they were seconds away from losing the one person who had actually kept them afloat. The silence after my mom's no sat there like a fifth person in the room. Brooke shifted in her chair, her eyes flicking between our parents and me, testing which way the wind was blowing. So what now? She snapped finally. You've got your little packet of papers. Congratulations, Claire. Are you happy you made Mom cry? I ignored the jab. This isn't about anyone crying, I said. It's about consequences. You told me I was out. You tried to push changes through behind my back. You told people I was unstable so you could step into things I built. That has to mean something more than a sad Facebook post and everyone pretending it never happened. My dad rubbed his jaw the way he did when he was lining up a difficult repair in his head. What do you think should happen? He asked. Brooke whipped her head toward him. Seriously, Dad? You're asking her? I met his eyes. You wanted me out of the family business, I said. Fine, I'll step back from being the default safety net. But that also means no one gets to quietly use my name, my credit, or my work, starting with making sure Brooke has zero access to anything I've set up. My mom hesitated. Brooke doesn't have access, she began. Not formally, maybe, I said, shaking my head. But she's been in meetings, she's been in group chats about the triplex, she's been talking to advisors like decisions were already moving in her favor. That stops today. Dad sighed and looked at Brooke. Honey, we need to be clear here. No more talking to advisors for us, no more speaking on our behalf, no more implying Claire is okay with things when she's not. Brooke blinked hard. So you're just going to cut me out? She said, her voice going thin and sharp. After everything I've done for you?
What exactly is that? I asked, unable to stop myself. The Instagram stories about being raised by wolves in the suburbs, or the half-baked business plans you wanted me to fund? Mom flinched, but she didn't scold me this time. Mark, she said quietly, maybe we should make it official. No additional beneficiaries, no shared accounts, no promises we can't keep. For years, we've said we'll help Brooke start something, pay off this card, co-sign that loan. All it's done is make her feel entitled to money that doesn't exist until Claire builds it. I looked at her, surprised by how blunt she was being. Diane turned to me. We want you to rewrite the documents, she said. The LLC, the retirement accounts, all of it, based on what actually makes sense, not what we say in the middle of a fight. I stared at her. You're asking me to take control again after you just told me to get out? I said slowly. She nodded, her eyes wet. I'm asking you to do what you've been doing this whole time, only this time with us admitting you know more than we do. Brooke let out a harsh laugh. Unbelievable. You're handing her everything? You're punishing me because I told the truth about how she treats us. Dad looked at her steadily. The truth would have held up against a gas receipt, he said. Yours didn't. That's the difference. For the first time since I'd walked in, Brooke looked genuinely shaken. Her eyes flicked to me, searching for some older version of me who might step in and soften the blow. I didn't. Mark took a breath. Here's what we're going to do, he said, slipping into the firm tone he used to use at the shop. Claire, you, Evan, and Jason will do whatever it takes to make the LLC and the retirement accounts airtight. You and I remain the only managing members. Your mom is a beneficiary. Brooke has no position of control anywhere. If we help her, it'll be from our own pockets, not by opening back doors into what you built.
Brooke leaned forward. You can't just erase me like that, she said. I'm your daughter too. My mom winced. We're not erasing you, she said. We're stopping the fantasy that money we don't have will magically appear because we attach your name to something Claire made. If we ever help you, it'll be because you have a real plan and we can actually afford it, not because we feel guilty. Brooke switched tactics so fast it made my head spin. Fine, she said, tears forming. Then let me prove it, Claire. Give me a small role in the LLC. I can handle social media or something. Let me show you I can contribute instead of just taking. It was almost impressive how smoothly she slid from outrage to pleading to the version of herself that sounded most reasonable. A year ago, I might have fallen for it. Now, I only saw another iteration of the same pattern. I stood up and picked up my folder. No, I said simply. If you want to prove you can build something, you don't do it by wiring yourself into what someone else already built. You do it by starting from nothing, like I did. My mom looked between us. Claire, isn't that a little harsh? She asked softly. I shook my head. Harsh was being told I was out and shouldn't come back, I said. Harsh was having my stability turned into a prop for sympathy online. This is just boundaries, Mom. There's a difference. Brooke glared at me. You're going to regret this, she hissed. You think you can cut me off and walk away clean? I slid my phone into my bag. No, I said. I think I can protect what I earned and stop you from turning my work into your safety net. Whatever happens to you after that is not on me. On my way out, my dad walked me to the door. I am sorry, he said quietly, for the voicemail, for not asking you first, for letting it get this far. I believed what was easiest to hear. I nodded, feeling a complicated mix of relief and sadness wash over me. I know, I said, but believing the easy story doesn't make the consequences easy too. Over the next week, the shifts became real. Jason sent over revised drafts with only my and Mark's names in control positions. Evan scheduled a meeting where my parents signed documents limiting who could ever touch their accounts. I updated the LLC operating agreement to explicitly state that no new managing member could be added without unanimous written consent from existing members.
There was no line where Brooke's name could even be penciled in later. When the last signature dried, I felt something settle into place. Not revenge as a dramatic moment, but revenge as a structure, a system in which the person who tried to push me out no longer had any way in. A few days later, Brooke showed up at my office unannounced, eyes big and red, asking the receptionist for me. She was holding a binder, the kind you bring to pitch a project. I met her in the lobby, arms crossed. "I have a business plan," she said, thrusting the binder toward me. "Events, brand partnerships, influencer collaborations. If you just invest a little, I can pay you back and prove everyone wrong." I didn't take the binder. "Start it without me," I said. "If it works, you won't need my money. If it doesn't, you'll know why I said no." Her face crumpled, anger and panic fighting for space. "You're really not going to help me?" she whispered. "Not after everything?" I thought of Daniel's warning, Jason's caution, Megan's screenshots, my mom's note, my dad's quiet apology, that voicemail that started it all. "I'm done helping people set themselves on fire with my gasoline," I said. Then I turned and walked back through the secured door to my floor, leaving her, her binder, and all of her almost on the other side. A month later, I stood in the driveway of a pale brick triplex on the edge of Denver, holding a box of kitchen items and watching my parents argue about where to put a bird feeder. The bottom unit was theirs now, officially in writing, with a clause that allowed them to live there for the rest of their lives without anyone being able to touch it. My unit was on the second floor, sunlight spilling through big windows. The third unit was already listed for rent. The numbers penciled out in a spreadsheet only I controlled. Mitchell Holdings LLC, the thing Brooke had tried to slide into, was leaner and cleaner. Just me and my dad as managing members, my mom as a beneficiary, with more safeguards than any family drama could shake loose. No side doors, no room for creative interpretations. On weekend evenings, I would come down and cook with my mom in her new kitchen, while my dad watched some car show in the living room. We didn't rehash every detail, but we stopped pretending money was some mysterious fog nobody understood. I would pull up the accounts on my laptop and walk them through what was real, instead of what they wished was real. It wasn't perfect. There were still sad moments, still guilt in their eyes when Brooke's name came up. But now, when she texted asking for help with another credit card, my mom would show me the message, then set her phone face down and say, "We can't fix this for her. Not this way." From what I heard through cousins, Brooke ended up in a small apartment across town, bouncing between gigs. Her big event plan never really took off. People were starting to notice that her stories always needed a villain and a spotlight. For once, I was not in either role. I did not sue her. I did not try to destroy her online. I did something quieter and, to me, sharper. I removed the leverage she thought she had and let her sit with a life that was hers alone, not propped up by my work. I was not angry anymore. I was clear. Clear that trust without boundaries is just an invitation for the wrong person to move in and rearrange everything. Clear that being the strong one in a family doesn't mean letting people weaponize your strength against you. If there is any lesson in all of this, it's that you can love your family and still refuse to be their insurance policy when they gamble with the truth. You can forgive without giving the keys back. And if someone ever tells you, "You're out, don't come back," you are allowed to believe them. Step back and ask yourself a harder question. What do I stop giving them access to from this moment on? Maybe you have your own version of this story, a time when someone used your loyalty like a credit card with no limit. If you do, I hope you learn faster than I did that saying no is not revenge. It's self-respect. And sometimes that is the only thing worth protecting more than the house itself. If this story resonated with you and you want to hear more real family stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon for updates. You won't want to miss what comes next.